So the activation on and off, let's do equals and set this to 8,000, just so we don't have to worry about the boost control turning off at high engine speeds. Now this is a stock bottom end. I'm not really worried about it going much higher than 75, but if you had a big cam car, big turbo car that you're revving out to 9,000, you would definitely have to up these values here. I'm going to do 8,000 for right now. Let's go down here to boost control type. Let's make sure this is set to PSI based. This is load based or PSI based. Let's make sure this is all toggled over to PSI based. So we can see load is going to be equal to the hex 0x6B48. PSI is going to be equal to 0x6AEC. So this is 6AEC, so it is on PSI right there. We also have to make sure all of our other terms here are set to the proper hex address. PSI is going to be, in this case, 0x4A00. 4A00, that looks good. These files should be set up already, but I just want to be thorough and make sure we check here. 0x6EE2, so 6E2. This is going to be 0x6EE2, that's 6E2, that looks good. And then our MUD address is here, 6EE3, 6EE3. MUD B is 6E9, 6E9. So this is going to be set up. We don't have to worry about PSI-based boost. It's already set up for us already, and that, I believe all the files, I've set them that way so that we cut down the setup work and the configuration. So the next thing we're going to take a look at here is going to be our boost control tuning. This is going to be our main wastegate duty cycle map. So let's click on this. We want to make sure this is at 0% duty cycle. This is going to be between 0 and 100% duty cycle scale. When we're running a 3-port boost solenoid, we'll find that a lower duty cycle will give us a higher boost compared to the stock boost solenoid. So we want to go and baseline this. Again, next video we're going to get it up and running and do our fuel tuning and do it off the wastegate spring. We want to make sure that we're at the lowest boost possible, so we want to put our values here of 0 within the table, so 0% duty cycle. Moving into our next area, we have a boost desired engine load or boost desired engine PSI. We want to work with our PSI based table. Now this table here, it's going to be gear based versus engine speed versus the units of PSIA or atmospheric pressure reference. If we're talking about boost pressure, that's going to be in units of PSIG or gauge pressure. So the atmospheric pressure reference here has to look at what our boost adder value is here. This value needs to be changed to whatever our elevation is going to be at. So in my case, I'm around sea level right here. So my actual PSIA value that I'm going to place into my table here is going to be 14.5. What we'll find here is if we put a value here of 30, this is going to be the highest value we can place into the table because we're on a 4-bar scale. So if we take 30 plus approximately 14.5, that's going to give us around 44, 45 pounds of boost, which is the max limit of our actual Omni 4-bar map sensor. So when we're populating this and working with this, we just need to keep in mind the reference scale and the way it's going to be referencing our boost pressure. So we're going to leave this at 0 for right now, again, just to kind of zero that out, just to keep it simple. We want to run off our wastegate spring and our wastegate actuator, in this case stock turbo. But we want to populate our PSIA here for the boost adder at the atmospheric pressure that we're operating at. So if you're at elevation, you're going to be at a lower PSIA. You can Google this, what your actual elevation is going to be at, and figure out what the actual pressure reference is going to be, but make sure that's going to be designated per your elevation that you're at. Boost cut is something very important. We have the ability to extend our boost cut out. We have a fuel cut load 1 or a fuel cut load 2. Now, if we're taking a look here at our load thresholds, this is going to be not in units of kPa. This is going to be in actual units of load that the ECU is going to be calculating. So right now we can see that this is set relatively low here at 200%. I'm going to raise this up. I think the scale, the highest this is going to go here, let's just put a value. I think it's 320 is the highest value we can place in here, 319. So I'm going to go and just set this to something like 300, just even. If we start to get higher than 300 load, then we can move in here, and our load registration and generation from the ECU table is going to start to get very high. We're going to want to go in here and then switch it over to the fuel cut load times 2, which is going to change the hex address here, which is going to allow us to go into our fuel cut load table here. We can see this is going to allow us to scale up to, I think it's roughly 620%. So it can go much higher in the load registration and as far as the cut goes. So this is going to be our boost cut. If it exceeds this load, it'll cut out the engine. We want to have a boost cut in place. That's why I want to have it here. We'll start off with this just normal fuel cut load times 1, and then we'll see if we need to raise that up. We shouldn't have to, because as long as we have our airflow being tracked properly and simulated properly from our VE table, we should be much below 300 load. In fact, we should find that the load, as it's tracking and it's calculating the load in the ECU, we should find that it tracks and it's loosely correlated with the actual kPa. So we should see 100 load should be roughly 100 kPa. 200 load should be roughly 200 kPa. So 300 load would be then...
Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here. And you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.